starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Salaam Alaikum. Mr. Moderator, our distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, our friends and our enemies.
Bismillah wa salatu wa salam wa rasulullah wa ba'd. In the name of Allah, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon His last and final messenger. Family, friends, foes, haters, and hatettes, welcome back to the Feachaz. I greet you all in peace and love and no hatred in my heart. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So before we begin, please like, please subscribe, and please share. As you know, we got a lot of haters up in here. So family, as you know, I've been, as you probably know anyways, I've been avoiding YouTube and social media for the last couple of days because of what is going on in Palestine. And I don't want to speak out of pocket. This is a very serious situation and it deserves, being talked about in a serious manner. And however, there is a changing of the mentality of the wider Black community with regards to Israel and Palestine. Okay. And what do you mean, Bilal? I mean that the old, tired, Jewish controlled mainstream media has lost all grip on the narrative regarding Palestine and Israel. Globally, there is massive support for the Palestinians globally. Okay. And your political entities, your European entities, Western entities in terms of politics, media, all that stuff, they are clinging very hard to this irrelevant narrative that if you are not pro-Zionist, you are anti-Semitic. And nobody really paying attention to that anymore. Like nobody is falling for those old tricks. But at the same time, while nobody is falling for these old, tired Zionist tricks, while this is going on, there is an awakening happening amongst the Black grassroots. And it's reached a point where, because we deal with this stuff on this channel, we can no longer ignore it. We have to deal with it head on because it's becoming a thing. And what is happening in the wider Black society is that Black folk are saying, you know what? We're just going to sit this one out. We are just going to sit this one out. That's what they're saying. And there seems to be some pushback from the Muslim elements of Black society on this narrative. So what we intend to do today is we're trying to bridge this gap, because I've seen some of the pushback, and I'll give you an example. I'm not gonna put this particular person's name out there, but some of y'all gonna know who I'm talking about just by mentioning this, okay? Instantly. Y'all gonna know exactly who I'm talking about. There is a very popular Facebook personality from amongst the Muslims who spent a better part of 3 decades talking about he writing a certain book against the Nation of Islam. And he ain't ever seen a black personality that he likes. Furthermore, this very same brother has never seen a black personality that he likes, nor has he ever seen a black personality that he's spoken favorably about. This very same brother will run defense for the white supremacist elements within Muslim social media society. Okay? And recently, he was on Facebook a couple of weeks before this whole thing blew up in Palestine, responding to a meme some other brother sent. Okay, the brother sent a meme. Three sides of this meme was Malcolm X, I believe Malcolm X, and definitely Malcolm X, one of them, right? I think Martin Luther King was on one side, and some other black person, I can't remember. And on the other side, you had Al Sharpton, Louis Farrakhan. Oh yes, Dr. Khalid Muhammad, Al Sharpton, Louis Farrakhan, and Jesse Jackson. So in this meme, they're basically showing that the left side is the sellouts, and the right side are the martyrs, right, in black society. That's what they're trying to show in this meme, right? This brother came on and expressed his utter disdain for every single person on that meme, right? And some of y'all would be saying it's just a meme or whatever. However, this is social media. In social media, you get to see people what they really believe because they ain't afraid to hide it. You know what I mean? So he expressed his disdain for all black folk, regardless of their efforts, regardless of their work, regardless of anything they did. He's black, mind you. He's a black guy. This brother's black. He's black. Make no mistake about it. But he is espousing, he couldn't help himself but to express and espouse his utter hatred for the black personalities who actually died for the very freedoms that he has in order to express his hatred for the black personalities. Muslim. What was his argument for his hatred? They were kuffar. They were disbelievers. That's his whole ultra dogmatic. But the second that this whole thing popped off in Palestine, the second the thing popped on in Palestine, he's quoting Malcolm X. Now he want to quote Malcolm X. Not to mention, there is, I think I mentioned this to y'all last time as well, there is a white supremacist Muslim brother that I know. He is a white supremacist, a racist. Okay? And he's Muslim. And he has absolutely no empathy whatsoever for anything related to the black struggle. He is out there openly saying that black people should stop complaining and stop playing victim. This is what he's saying. He had no issues telling me all this. Okay? They're playing the victim card, always crying racism. But the second this whole thing popped off, he is out there quoting Malcolm X himself. Can you imagine the audacity? The caucasus audacity, the caucasity of it. This is what's happening. So if it is happening to me, and I'm seeing it, you can imagine the general black person and all of the hoopla he is seeing or she is seeing going on in the wider Muslim community. Now, the whole world today is talking about what? Palestine. Palestine is the talk of the day. And the thing that keeps coming up with Palestine is apartheid, is racism, is open air prison. These are the talking points that is coming up with Palestine. And there's a different talk today within the wider Black community. That the wider Black community, or rather the Black grassroots, is saying we empathize with the struggle of the Palestinians. We sympathize with the struggle of the Palestinians. But we gonna sit this one out. We gonna sit this one out. The question that we are asking is, did this happen in a vacuum? Did this happen without warrant? Did this happen for nothing or for naught? Now I'm going to show y'all something as soon as I can find it here. Okay. I'm going to show y'all something that will probably surprise some of y'all who are not Muslim or who are rather Muslim but immigrant. Black folk, we know, we already know. But some of y'all might be surprised to hear some of these things, right? As soon as I can find it. But essentially, the video I want to show y'all is showing how long Black folk have actually been supporting Palestine. It is astonishing. Absolutely astonishing. It is something that has been, that Black folk have been doing this for many, 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 many years. They have been supporting Palestine. Even before some Muslim countries. Did y'all know, for example, and some of you older ones, you might be remember this because it was very, very, very controversial at the time. But did you know that when Nelson Mandela was freed, I think it was almost 30 years ago, I remember when he was freed, it was a massive thing. There was massive economic pressure put on the South African government to end apartheid. Okay, massive economic pressure. Okay, Nelson Mandela, he was subsequently released from prison and eventually became the president of South Africa. But when he came to Canada on his tour to Canada and America, I was there for his speech when he came to Canada. I think it was 14 years old. All right, and I still remember like it was yesterday. To be honest, that's one of the more inspirational things that I've ever seen in my lifetime. Okay, I was 14 years old when he came to Canada. Right, my whole family went. Me, my parents, my sister. It was just one of my sisters at the time. My other sister, I don't think she was born yet. But we all went. And it was a big thing, a huge, massive crowd to hear Nelson Mandela. Okay. And then he went on his tour to the States. So I'm pretty sure he went after he visited Canada. I can't remember. But anyways, the point is, he goes to America now. And he was asked a question about his support for Palestine. Okay. And if you heard his answer, anybody who remembers knows, okay? They know because it was shocking. It was absolutely shocking and stunning. Okay. And not only was it shocking and stunning, but you could see the reaction on some of the Jewish people because the cameras were live, and some of the reactions were just like they were stunned. That was in the 80s. Did you know black people have been supporting Palestine from way back, even the 60s, the 70s? And I can't think. I've been Muslim now for 3 decades. I cannot remember any Muslim immigrant who publicly supported Palestine on that level at that time. I can't think of a single. Maybe y'all can look it up for me, right? Somebody in the 80s, an immigrant Muslim who was supporting Palestine that publicly, without fear, right? Who was doing it? But I can't think of a single one. Okay, I can't think of a single one. But what I want to show you is that black people have always supported Palestine, so that I can get into what I want to get into today. Because some of y'all gonna be mad. But let me caveat this first. Of course I support Palestine. I'm a Muslim, of course. Yes, I support Palestine. But the talk that we are talking today, especially as black Muslims, that needs to change. The way that we are speaking to other black folk, that needs to change. We cannot dismiss their gripes. We cannot brush this under the rug anymore. 3 decades of brushing it under the rug is long enough. These things need to be addressed. Okay? Nelson Mandela has his statue in Ramallah, in Palestine. Black man. All of Africa is supporting Palestine. And look what the Arabs are doing to the Africans today in 2023. So we need to address this. And hiding from it and running from it ain't going to do nothing. All you are going to do is alienate your people even more. So let's check this video out. Like, subscribe, share, hit me on Patreon. Just give me a moment, y'all. 1 second. Let me stop this share. Stop sharing and start sharing this. Okay. Okay. Watch this, y'all.
In 1977, reggae legend Peter Tosh released the song Equal Rights, demanding freedom for a number of African nations, but he also mentioned another country.
Palestinians fighting for equal rights.
1977, y'all. If y'all don't know who Peter Tosh is, y'all better ask somebody, okay? Back in the days of Bob Marley and in the early days of reggae, there were two people that people were talking about. They were talking about Bob Marley and Peter Tosh, okay? Peter Tosh was considered like the Malcolm X of reggae music, while Bob Marley is considered like the Martin Luther King. There's one love, one heart. Peter Tosh, no, he was militant, okay? Ask somebody. 1977, he said. He's writing this song. Let's keep going, y'all.
Justice
When George Jackson, a Black Panther, writer, and revolutionary, was killed by prison guards in 1971, two poems were found in his cell. They were translations of resistance poetry by the Palestinian poet Sami al-Kazem. Peter Tosh and George Jackson's connection to Palestine are just two examples of a long history of solidarity between Black liberation and Palestinian self-determination.
So the question I'm asking is, are there any immigrants that go back to the 70s that openly supported Palestine in such a manner? That I don't know of any. I do not know of any. But Black people who are not even Muslim, who do not share the religion of the Palestinians, were supporting Palestine. Let's keep going, y'all.
Struggles that have been in dialogue for decades. In 1964, Malcolm X published an article in the Egyptian Gazette called Zionist Logic, in which he drew parallels between the oppression of Palestinians and Africans. Instead of seeing it as a religious conflict, Malcolm saw Israel as a colonial project serving a wider imperialist agenda.
That's Malcolm X now. Malcolm X, the 60s. You're talking about the 60s now. Malcolm died in 1968.
Saying European imperialists wisely placed Israel where she could geographically divide the Arab world. In the same year, Malcolm was one of the first African leaders to publicly meet with the Palestine Liberation Organization.
Did y'all hear that? If you didn't know, now you know. If you didn't know, now you know. So nobody can accuse Black folk of being on the wrong side of history. It's y'all immigrants who chose the wrong side of history. Make no mistake about it. You wanted to shuck and jive and twitch and twirl so much for Zaddy, running over to the white supremacists, the very same people that are bombing your country, so that you can turn around and tell Black people, oh, look at here. You guys are just playing the victim card. Watch, y'all.
Anti-colonial struggles gained traction through the world. Freedom for Palestinians became a touchstone for the international fight against imperialism. As Black freedom movements expanded their worldview to situate their struggle as part of a global anti-colonial movement, Palestine also became an important focal point of their solidarity. On August 15, 1967, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee released a position paper entitled The Middle East Crisis, expressing support for Palestine and criticizing US support for Israel. Organizations such as...
Are you catching all the dates? 1961 now. Should we keep going? We'll go a little bit further, and then we're going to get into the meat of our discussion today.
The Black Panthers argued that freedom would never come for Black people in America unless all oppressed people were free. The Panthers frequently spoke of Black communities and their relationship with police as living under occupation as internally colonized people. They were vocal in their support for Palestine and met with the PLO in Algiers in 1969. In his 1972 essay, Take Me to the Water, James Baldwin wrote about leaving the US but refusing to go live in Israel, saying, "And if I had fled to Israel, a state created for the purpose of protecting Western interests, I would have been in a yet tighter bind. On which side of Jerusalem would I have decided to live?" Muhammad Ali also declared his support for the Palestinian struggle, marching for Palestinian rights and visiting a Palestinian refugee camp in southern Lebanon. In 1979, Reverend Jesse Jackson met with the PLO and pushed for the US to deal directly with the...
Now, when Jesse Jackson, for those who don't know, when Jesse Jackson visited the PLO, that really caused a lot of, whatchamacallit, it raised a lot of eyebrows, put it that way. It raised a lot of eyebrows. So now you're getting more mainstream Black leaders supporting Palestine. Okay? You get a lot of, pushback whenever a black person supports oppressed people overseas. So much. Go back to when we were talking about Nelson Mandela when he supported Palestine. Okay, let's keep going, y'all.
The organization in pursuit of a peace deal.
Just and lasting peace is inextricably bound for a state, for Palestinian people, and the recognition of the PLO as the government in exile with which our nation must negotiate.
This was a significant shift in support for Palestine, moving from radical groups to more mainstream figures who were able to lobby for shifts in US policy. 10 years later, Jackson would find himself in an audience in Harlem as Nelson Mandela addressed a packed town hall.
As far as Yasser Arafat is concerned, I explained to Mr. Sidney that we identify with the PLO because just like ourselves, they are fighting for the right of self-determination.
I remember this speech. Okay, when Nelson Mandela did his tour after he became free. As a child, okay, I was just a teenager. Okay, I was watching all of his programs as much as possible on TV.
Like Mandela, Archbishop Desmond Tutu drew global attention to the plight of Palestinians as being parallel to that of black South Africans under apartheid.
The inhumanity that won't let ambulances reach the injured, farmers tend their land, or children attend school. This treatment is familiar to me and the many black South Africans who were corralled and harassed by the security forces of the apartheid government.
Y'all getting the point, okay? I'll leave the link to this video in the description. But the point is, you have a long history, longer than I know of any other people folk, openly supporting Palestine, coming directly from the black grassroots all the way back to the early Black Panthers. Y'all hearing me? So now it's 2023. And times, brothers and sisters, times has changed. I'm telling you, times has changed. Okay? We have, with the rise of social media, new and different information reaching the larger black society. So while we have this new information, we are going to read first, before we get into this new information, what black folk are saying. Okay? We're going to read what one of the top deputies, just last week, I believe it was, said with regards to Joe Biden and his undying love for Palestine. Okay? Let's read what he said. Okay? Mind you, these are folks that are a part of they're proud cogs in the machine. They are proud cogs in the machine. So, top State Department officials resigns in protest of Biden's blind support of Israel, which is how we titled this live today. Okay? Let's read. A senior State Department official resigned this week over what he described as the Biden administration's blind support for Israel and its ongoing siege of Gaza. Josh Paul, after more than 11 years working in the State Department office that oversees arms transfers, wrote Wednesday in a public letter explaining his resignation that he could no longer stomach Washington's continued funneling the arms to Israel. The response Israel is taking, and with it, the American support for that response, And for the status quo of the occupation, he wrote, will only lead to more and deeper suffering from both the Israeli and the Palestinian people. While Paul described Hamas' recent attack in Israel as a monstrosity of monstrosities in an interview, the New York Times, he argued, with Israel is committing its own human rights abuses by continuously bombing the Gaza Strip and blocking medical provisions, food, water, and electricity from entering the territory for more than 2 million lives. The official also appeared to have a juxtaposed White House support for Israel with the U.S. aid to Ukraine, writing, we cannot both, this is the point, y'all, we cannot both be against occupation and for it. We cannot be both against occupation and for it. How are you going to be against occupation in Ukraine and for it in Israel? So you are funding defense against occupation in Ukraine, but at the same time, you are giving unconditional support for the extermination of the Palestinian people in Palestine and Israel. How do you do it? How do you reason? Okay. We cannot be for both for freedom and against it. This is what he said. Well, we know very well that these demons was never about no freedom anyways. Okay? And because of the rise of social media, we are seeing a shift in the mindset of the world. And also a shift in the mindset of Black society, the wider Black society. Okay? So look here. Let us watch this video to get to where, and now we're going to get into the nitty gritty. Okay? We're going to get into the nitty gritty right now. Like, subscribe, share me up on Patreon, y'all. So some of y'all saw O'Shea tagged in the title there, right? You saw O'Shea Duke Jackson. Because we're going to watch a video from him. Let me just speed it up a little bit. All right? And the reason we're watching it for him because he's got the two main folks that he used for his argument here. Okay? Look here. Oh, snack. Sorry, y'all. I was letting this play out. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. Can y'all hear? 1 second, man. I'm in. I am so. Oh my gosh. I gotta take an L on that one, bro. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sitting here watching this thing by myself, y'all. 1 second. Let me just get this for y'all. So I apologize. I apologize, y'all. 1 second. Let me get this thing for you. Let's do this one more again. One more again. Okay. Okay. Watch this.
On Israel. Okay. And I believe it was a Caucasian caller. And basically, the caller was trying to get Tariq Nasheed pretty much to pick a side in the Israel-Palestinian conflict. I want to play that situation, and then I'm going to come back.
Natro, what's up, brother?
Yes, sir, bro. Yeah, just had a question. Why do you have such an isolationist policy when it comes to the Israeli-Palestine conflict?
I have a what policy?
Like you're just like, I'm neither on either side. I'm just like, I'm minding my own business.
Right. I'm just giving the same energy. You know, treat others as they treat you. I'm treating them the same way they treat us.
Don't you think it's, the enemy of the enemy is my friend policy is better?
How about the golden rule? I'm gonna treat everybody like they treat us. When shit going on over here with us, ain't nobody saying nothing, ain't nobody helping us, ain't nobody doing nothing. So I'm gonna let them do what they do. They let us do what we do, we'll let them do what they do. Why is it our obligation to hop up and put a cape on?
Well, it's not so much that you have to put a cape on. It's like you're bringing more allies to your side, because there's one side that's clearly, being a culture vulture to your, culture. And
which side is that?
I think it's very clear which side that is.
I don't know which one you're talking about.
The side that has the most music producers in the industry.
Oh, okay. Because when I look at both sides, it's looking kind of funny. And I talked about this the other day because when we have police officers who are trained to whoop down on us, they get trained over there in Israel. When we go in certain stores, some of these store owners who call the cops on us are Palestinian. The people who called the police on George Floyd were Palestinian. There was a Palestinian serial killer running around Flint, stabbing black folks. A lot of these little liquor stores that's in these neighborhoods exploiting us and calling the cops and beating us down. Some of these are Palestinians. So
yeah, but what does that have to do with the movie itself? Like, I don't see any Palestinians getting involved in the hip hop industry except DJ Khaled.
Yeah, he's in the industry, but hell, the music industry is run by a whole bunch of different people. But that's neither here nor there. All of them are anti-us. So why should we put on the cape for any of them?
No, I'm not saying to put on the cape. I'm saying to kind of like, gain more allies in the fight. Especially
what allies? I mean, they've had a million years to be allies. If they haven't been allies to us now, they're not going to start.
So
this is the main point that black folk need to understand. Hate it all you want. You don't have to like what Tariq Nasheed. I don't like Tariq Nasheed anyway. I'm not a fan of his. Okay. a lot of Muslims, y'all be sharing me his stuff. I'm not a fan of him. But these are the things that you need to address. Is anything that he said right now not based in reality? This is a talk that is happening in the black grassroots today. This talk. Listen, the talk that is happening is that black people now are deciding to remove themselves out of the situation. Is it because it's none of their business, or is it because a legacy of standing up for other folk without other folk not reciprocating that legacy? Which one is it? I only know, to my knowledge, from the imams of the Muslims, one Palestinian imam, one that consistently and was consistent in his support for black folk. Somebody put his name in the chat, please. If y'all know who I'm talking about, put his name in the chat. I only know one black imam. Just one. There may be more. But I only know one black imam who habitually and consistently showed support for the wider black community and publicly without hiding it, without being shy. Sorry, Palestinian imam, not black imam, Palestinian imam. Charles Irby put Shadid Muhammad. Shadid Muhammad is black. I'm looking for a Palestinian imam who habitually and consistently always supported the black community. What's his name? He's got half the name right. He's got half the name right. 1090 Wall Street. Exactly. We all know who we're talking about. It's Imam Umar Suleiman. Furthermore, besides Imam Omar Suleiman, I can't think of the top of my head any other imam from any other people group other than him who has habitually and consistently publicly supported black folk. I can't think of a single one. And as a matter of fact, the trend today in 2023 is your Ruwaybada, YouTubian Da'i elites are openly and proudly anti-black. They are openly and proudly anti-black. We are talking about your Daniel Hakikachus. We are talking about your Abdullah Andalusis. And now here come Muhammad Ijab. I'm not saying he's anti-black, but he definitely leaning right and coming out with some outrageous support for right-leaning politics. Outrageous right-leaning politics. So you don't have to like Tariq Nasheed. Is he lying? I don't like Tariq Nasheed. Is he lying? That's the question you need to ask yourself. Let's keep watching, y'all.
So Tariq Nasheed has taken the same path as Dr. Umar Johnson. I want to play what Dr. Umar Johnson said here.
You got 1 million Ethiopians who've been murdered. You got Sudanese who have died. Ain't nobody said nothing about the Sudanese. Ain't nobody said nothing about the Ethiopians.
In this what we said will eventually happen, listen to what Dr. Umar Johnson is saying. Why is it only the Feachaz talking about it? Why is the only channel, Muslim channel, mind you, the only Muslim channel out of all Muslim YouTube, why is the Feachaz the only one that mentioned both the Ethiopians and the Sudanese? And what's going on in Libya? And what's going on with black African maids in the Khaliji countries? And what's going on in the Mediterranean Sea, where black folk are drowning by the thousands. Africans, Muslims, drowning by the thousands in the Mediterranean Sea. Why are we the only ones talking about this? Is he lying? That's the question you need to ask yourself.
Sudanese. Ain't nobody said nothing about the Ethiopians. Ain't nobody said nothing about the Congolese, but you want me to cry tears for the Arabs? Listen, I hope the Arabs in the West Bank in Gaza, I hope they get all they get. I hope they are protected. I hope nobody dies. I hope those babies' lives are safe. I hope the women are cared for. I hope that there's no bloodshed, no violence. But if you think I'm going to take time out of struggling for African people, if you think I'm going to stop my agenda to liberate my people, to go cry for people who don't cry for me, if you think I'm going to stop what I'm doing and pay attention to what's going on over there when y'all don't even pay attention to what's going on in Africa, y'all don't pay attention to what's going on in Ethiopia.
Are y'all hearing this? Are y'all hearing this? Is he, the only question you need to be asking today is he lying? That's the only question y'all need to be asking today. Is what he's saying based in fact or fiction? How many times have we asked the question, where are you YouTubian elites talking about the slavery going on in Libya today? Today, not 100 years somewhere. Where are they? can't even mention it, but want to tell y'all that you guys, you black folk, are just victimizing yourself. You're just playing the victim card. Racism is over. Pick yourself up by your bootstraps. That's what they're saying. Pick yourself up by your bootstraps. Ain't that what they're saying? Can you imagine getting kidnapped in Africa, tortured, forced into prostitution by the hundreds by Arabs, and not a single Muslim can say a single word about that? Not one? Not a single one of your Tubian Da'i elites? Did we not say that this will eventually happen? Well, Negrodamus strikes again. Negrodamus strikes again. And still, black folk are in the front lines of the Palestinian protests. Still, after all that. Let's keep watching, y'all.
Y'all don't pay attention to what's going on in the Congo. The greatest humanitarian crisis in the world is in the Congo.
The greatest, and this is an absolute fact. The greatest humanitarian crisis in the world is happening in the Congo. But not only that, it's been happening in It's been happening in the Congo. Since the Belgians arrived in the Congo, the Congolese have never seen a single day of peace. Not one day. You know, I do believe that Allah's help and assistance is near. I believe that. Because black folk, at the end of the day, despite all our problems, despite all our issues, we are good-hearted people, okay? We have problems. The reason why we have problems is because our development has been violently interrupted as a people. And if you support other people, folk, because of the oppression that they experience, human nature expects reciprocation, right? And that's just human nature. But we are here to tell y'all, black folk, whoever you stand up for beside yourself, never, ever, 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 ever expect it to be reciprocated. Never expect it to be reciprocated. Ever. Because it's not going to be. Now, we as Muslims, we stand up for the Palestinians because we're Muslims, correct? We are obligated by our Islamic rights as Muslims to stand up for our Muslim brothers despite where they're from. This is an obligation for us as Muslims. Is this obligation now something that the non-Muslims within our family groups must dedicate themselves to? Is it something that they must dedicate themselves to? Yes or no? No, it's not. It's not. So when we are talking to our people, right? Why is it that we use the same language to talk to our people that our enemies use. Why? Like, why do we do that to ourselves? We've all agreed that everything that Tariq Nasheed said and Dr. Umar Johnson, the dusty doctor, he's dusty. Okay, he's absolutely dusty. There's not a single lie in what they said. Not one.
Not the West Bank.
So let me.
There's not a single lie in anything that they said. Y'all hearing me? However, when we are appealing to our people, why are we appealing to our people in the tongue of some Arab somewhere, pretending to be our brother, and we're using the language that he uses to speak to our own? How in the world does that work? On what planet does that work? On what planet does that work? When we find our people speaking like this, it did not happen out of the blue. It did not happen in a vacuum somewhere. It happened out of years and years and years of exploitation from every other people group. While we support them, they come here to get rich off of us. And as we said before, the American dream for any immigrant is found in the Black community. And this is what is being circulated now amongst the Black grassroots. So we need to appeal to our people, correct? What is the call, the biggest call right now in the Black grassroots? What is everybody in the Black grassroots talking about today? What are they all talking about? They all mention it. Everybody in the Black grassroots is talking about this. What are they saying? I'll give you some time to think about it. Let me just play this out. 1 second. We're going to listen to O'Shea.
Let me say this, guys. Firstly, I love a lot of different people around this world. I have friends from all communities. My heart goes out to them. One of my best friends is actually Filipino, believe it or not. And one of my good friends is also a Caucasian. I have one really close. I have a good friend that is Jewish. Predominantly, most of my friends are Black. The closest people to me are Black, but I do have people who are outside of my community. My heart goes out to anybody who is in war, who is in a time of need. However, personally, what Brother Tariq and Brother Dr. Umar Johnson have said, I believe, is something that is palatable to the Black community. And it's palatable in this way. Firstly, Brother Tariq Nasheed has named several instances of not all, but certain issues of people from both sides that have showed some level of hostility towards African Americans. Now, this isn't true for everybody, but he's making a point. The point that he's making is that while you can also be very empathetic and sympathetic with what's going on with that group, the reality is, how sympathetic and empathetic are others towards our group? And that is the question, okay? The Blacks in civil rights, I don't know how many groups we have been empathetic and sympathetic to, but what have we received for our sympathy and that empathy?
This is what they are saying right now. Thank you, Dr. or Mr. Charles Irby. Thank you, 1090 Wall Street. This is what they're talking about. They are talking about reparations. This is what they're talking about. Charles Irby said it. They're talking about they want reciprocity. They want tangibles, not benign neglect. This is what the Black grassroots is talking about. They talk about reparations. They talk about the end to benign neglect. This is what the Black grassroots is talking about. So if the Black grassroots is talking about reparations, and they are looking at the Israel-Palestine issue as a political issue that is not related to black people. How do you figure that this issue is not related to black people when you're talking about reparations? How does that? This is how you have to appeal to them. If you want to know where your reparations money is going, you have to look no further than the videos of the buildings, the rubble that's going on in Palestine right now. That's your reparations money. That is where they're sending the money to that's supposed to go to the black community. So much so, let me show y'all something. Let me just pull this up. Let me play this out, okay? And I'm going to pull up what I want to show y'all.
That would be the question that we would be wanting to ask him. And as much as we have to look at the development of our group, we are in a decline, okay? When you're in a decline, when you are losing money, when you are going, your money's not coming in, you start watching your spending a lot more, right? You start being focused more on that because, if you're spending money on a certain situation and you don't feel like that's getting better for you, then what you try to do is to watch your spending. And I think that's what black people are doing. We've been so focused on every other community and every other agenda, and the Democrats have helped us focus on those agendas, that we've seen ourselves decline. So when we want to start trying to pick sides in geopolitical debates, which picking sides would not help the outcome. And we got to understand that Israel or Palestine, the help that they're going to get is going to be government-supported assistance. They're going to be getting support from America. The people that would be able to speak up on their behalf are anybody of Jewish ancestry. And they're going to be getting the funding and things to, in Palestine on either side. And then they're going to have some level of resolution at a certain point and trying to be amicable as neighbors. That is something that we can fundamentally expect. But what we haven't figured out is what is going to happen to our respective community. Where does that leave us? And since we don't really know maybe what we're talking about before we start jumping in and start criticizing one side, or you make a post and lose your job or lose your income or offend somebody, maybe what you should do then is to not say anything and be focused more or less on how you can help your group. Now, if you want to donate and give money, it would make sense that you would do that and maybe do it secretly without jumping out on either side, because you might, again, offend somebody. You might cause some hatred towards yourself if you jump out there on either side publicly. It's almost like they're jumping out on either side with the Donald Trump election. People who voted for Trump found themselves having to, they had to find themselves voting for Trump secretly because of you just didn't want to receive all the hatred, all right? You didn't want to get all the hatred. So now you find yourself joining, secretly. So that might be the best thing, okay? Might be the best thing. So, and I think what the brother is saying is correct. Be focused on your group. I can say one thing about these people here. They are focused on their people, right? More than we are focused on ourselves.
So I hope y'all caught that, okay? So black folk now who want to be neutral, this is the call now. The call is towards neutrality. What good is it that you as a Muslim, you're trying to appeal to your people, you see this long, thick resume of not only benign neglect from the former slave masters and colonizers of our people, but from the very same folk that pretend to be our Muslim brothers. And not only benign neglect, but outright hostility, open hostility. We showed on this channel some folk even trying to use hadith to insinuate that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was in fact a racist. And we're not talking about non-Muslims. We're talking about Muslims doing this and other Muslims sharing this stuff, talking about the superiority, or rather the inferiority of blackness. And you expect black folk, the regular black folk, to sign off on that? How? And then you want to talk to them with hostility when they just saying that we want to stay out of it. We don't want to be involved in it no more. That's what they're saying. We understand you're having some issues, but we got our own issues to deal with. What good is it that you are going to talk to them with the very same points that they are resisting involving themselves into this affair to begin with? How does that make sense? We have to talk to our people with mercy and with empathy. and stop using the tongues of those people who do not love us, who do not respect us, using those tongues to reply to our people. If the talk today is about reparations and you have $3 billion every single year being sent to an entity that has not only shown hostility to the Palestinian people, but has historically shown an insane amount of hostility towards the wider black masses, then how can you remain neutral? You can't, at that point, when you start talking to them like that, at that point, it's going to be more difficult for them to show neutrality. Furthermore, let me show y'all something. This video will be demonetized, okay? I'm telling you right now, it's going to be demonetized. I might even get shut down. So for those of y'all who are watching this, make sure you support the channels. You support the channel on PayPal, Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, or Super Chats. Because I'm telling you, this video right here, I'm telling you it's going to get demonetized. There's no way YouTube's going to allow this video to remain monetized. It's impossible. Okay? But look at here. Let me show y'all something. Let's remove this. Like, subscribe, share, hit me on my Patreon. This is not written by Palestinians. It's not written by Arabs. Not even written by alleged Muslims. We say alleged. Look what these folks are doing now. The very same folks that you're talking about you want to remain neutral with. Look here. TheJewishPress.com. Look what they're saying. Supporting critical race theory undermines battling anti-Semitism. Did y'all catch that? Did y'all catch that? Can you believe that? Can you? We wasn't bothering them. We wasn't even worried about them. Okay? Yes. Y'all seeing it now. This is why we do what we do here on this channel. We are arming you and equipping you with how to deal with your own people. Deal with them with some mercy, please. Deal with your people with some mercy. Nobody else going to have mercy for black folk. Look, y'all are going nuts. Yes. Oh, it gets worse than that. Trust me. Can you imagine? And you know, it's funny. It is hilarious that the Zionist Jews, okay, and the white supremacist right, and the alt-right element of your YouTubian da'i elites all agree that black folk need to stop talking about the history. That is the one thing they agree on. And then you're sitting there, you're scratching your head like, why are these black folk talking about it so funny? It's because you look funny. These are the things you need to address. The second that Daniel Kikich, who started talking about fentanyl Floyd and stuff, there should have been an outcry, an outrage against them, correct? There should have been from the wider Muslim society. There wasn't even a burp, a belch. There was nothing. As a matter of fact, your YouTubian da'i elites pushed him and prodded him after they knew all his long resume of racist statements. They pushed him in the front. They invited him to conferences, alleged Salafi conferences, AIM conference. They invited him to take over the interviews with on valuetainment and stuff. And they agree with the Zionist Jews that they go onto the Zionist Jewish panels, do interviews, invite pro-Zionist people to the panels like Jordan Peterson to have discussions and stuff. But the one thing they all agree upon is that black folk need to stop talking about their history. And you don't see no problem with that. The only thing that you can do is criticize black folk for not saying that they are pro-Israel. They're saying that we are going to remain neutral. That's what they're saying. And you are quick to criticize your own, but slow to criticize this. Y'all are tripping. You think that's all? There's more than this. Let's read this, y'all. Last few months, the Anti-Defamation League National Director and CEO, this is the Anti-Defamation League National Director and CEO, Jonathan Greenblatt, has had something of an epiphany. In an article was published in Newsweek in July, and then another in the Washington Post in October, he belatedly acknowledged that the dangerous rise of anti-Semitism in the political left. You can't make this crap up. Anti-Semitism in the political left? You cannot make this crap up. Right now, Joe Biden, the leader of the political left, is where? He's in Israel to make sure his zaddies in Israel, because Zaddy got a zaddy, are happy. In the latter, he attempted to cushion the blow he was delivering to liberals who still cling to the myth that Jew hatred is only a problem on the right. He foolishly compared the right-wing anti-Semitism, which for all of its violence and lacks of political influence, to a Category 5 hurricane while analogizing the left-wing variant, which has open exposure to the U.S. Congress to the more subtle and incremental threat of climate change. Nevertheless, he also made it clear to those who seek a single out Israel for attacks in which he is falsely accused of apartheid. He said he's falsely accused. Falsely accused of apartheid and genocide. Falsely accused of apartheid. Can you imagine that? Falsely accused of apartheid and genocide. Can you imagine that? The caucasity. The Caucasian audacity. And those who oppose the Jewish state to exist are engaging in anti-Semitism. Look at it. Look at this. As such, he drew to important lines in the sand that he is doing a large measure of effort to rescue his organization's credibility after squandered it in recent years doesn't make it any less a vital ATL to take such a stand. But as much as making these statements is exactly what one would expect from the head of agency asked to do the job of speaking up against anti-Semitism, and doesn't mean that the ATL is actually doing the job of the subject. To the contrary, failing to counter the ideas driven in the most left-wing anti-Semitism, the ATL has actually undermined the effort to halt the very trend it's finally chosen to highlight after spending previous years ignoring it, and instead focusing on partisan talking points, trying to connect the former President Donald Trump and animus against Jews. The role ATL continues to play in propping up critical race theory, indoctrination, you can't make this crap up, and demonizing its critics strengthens the very focus Greenblatt is trying to pushing back against. You can't make this crap up. You cannot make this crap up. We wasn't even talking about y'all. We wasn't worried about y'all. Who wasn't even studying y'all? So here we got the white supremacists. We already know the white supremacists. We understand them anyways, right? We know them very, very well. The white supremacists have always taken a very clear anti-black stance from day one, from the time they invented racism. There was no such thing as racism before the white supremacists invented it. Okay? in the 15th century. They invented race. Nowhere before the 15th century were people talking about race. They invented that social construct. Then here come the Muslims trying to immigrate to the West under the condition that they participate in racism. They gladly and happily did it. The immigrant Muslim. And when you tell them about it, they want to gaslight you. They want to speak down at you, like some of the folks in the comments. Okay? They want to tell you that y'all are crazy and this and this and that. It don't matter how many facts you put in front of them, they ain't trying to listen. They're just not. They ain't trying to listen. Then you have these folks now. Now, some of y'all may not know, but the European Ashkenazi Jew was heavily involved in the transatlantic slave trade. And they profited greatly off of it. So they are invested in making sure that black folk are perpetually in a certain demographic in society that doesn't exceed theirs because of their history in Europe. Okay? It's funny because the European Jew faced this problem almost explicitly in Europe. Time and time again, where Europeans was chasing them out, kicking them out, chasing them out, kicking them out. This is what they were doing. But the one thing that the European hated more than living with the Jew was living with the Muslim. That's the only thing that they hated more. Why? If y'all know the history of Europe, if y'all know the history of the Moors in Europe, how they took these Europeans, right? Black Africans, okay? Found them in caves, educated them, cleaned them up, okay? Built them up. You know, the Dark Ages of Europe, what you call the Dark Ages of Europe, all of a sudden European society just disappeared from existence in the Dark Ages. That was the Bright Ages of Islam. Okay? Eventually, Muslims ended up in Europe. Eventually. Okay? However, whenever they saw Muslims, what did they see? They saw darker skinned people. Every single time. They saw darker skinned people. And so the Spanish Inquisition happened. Spanish Inquisition happens. They're telling these folks, the Muslims got to get out. How do they know who the Muslims are? By the color and the hue of their skin. Some of the Jewish folk that they told to get out to converted, or they hid because they can mix, right? They're European Jews. But there's this history in Europe of assaulting and kicking out Jews. It didn't happen in Africa. It didn't happen in Arabia. It didn't happen in the Levant. It was happening almost exclusively in Europe. Almost exclusively in Europe, this was going on. So now, because the Jewish European had participated in the displacement and the colonizing, happily participating, mind you, right? Getting rich, ridiculously, insanely rich off of, enslaving black folk through insurance companies, through stock trading, you name it, through slave auctions, just insanely rich. But still, Europeans, they couldn't stand no Jew, okay? They couldn't stand them, right? Did we ever historically have any issues with these folks? We didn't even know who they were. They came and they kidnapped us. They told us that we were inferior. They told us that the Bible says that we are supposed to be perpetually enslaved. That's what they told us. Correct? We didn't know about y'all. Y'all came and found us. Now that we are repeating the actual history of what your people did to us, here you come trying to censor us. And you agree with the white supremacists and the Arab supremacists, you Muslims, and the Jewish supremacists. You agree with all of them that we, the black folk, who have no history at all whatsoever of oppressing any Jew, of oppressing any Muslim, or oppressing any white Christian. Zero. You just seem to bypass all of that and tell us, black folk, to be quiet about our history. And the black grassroots is seeing all this unfolding in front of their faces, and they're saying, you know what, we're just going to take a step back. Because y'all are some treacherous people. Y'all are some treacherous people. So what we are saying is that we're just going to be neutral. That's it. Now here come the Muslims getting mad and stuff, getting upset. Well, are you Muslim? Are you Muslim first or black first? When it comes to you treacherous Muslims, I'm black first. I'm going to repeat that one more again. When it comes to you treacherous Muslims, right, who are enslaving black folk in Libya right now, in the Gulf, murdering Ethiopians in the Gulf. Okay. When it comes to y'all, yes, we are indeed black first. Because if I say we're Muslim first, I say I'm Muslim first today, and tomorrow I'll be in shackles and chains, and you'll be selling my daughter and my wife in Libya somewhere. Make no mistake. There's a new talk today. Make no mistake about it. As for black folk, the black grassroots, if you think you can take a neutral stance on this issue, then what you are in fact saying is that you are actually not serious about reparations. That's what you're saying. There is no neutrality in this. From a human level, we already know there's a long history. From a human rights level, a very long history of black support for Palestine. And we continue to support Palestinians on a human level. We continue to support Palestinians on an Islamic level. But let's say, because you're not Muslim, right? You have no dog in that fight. You don't want to do that. And on top of that, yes, you're just tired. You're just tired of being stabbed in the back by folks that you stood up for just for them to turn around and spit in your face. And that is your right. What about the reparations? What about that $3 billion that is being turned to dust in Palestine right now as we speak? What about that? Family, I told y'all this video is getting demonetized. Support the channel. Support the channel, please. Support your brother, please. Okay, what about that? Y'all seeing in the comments here Look at some of the comments that some of these folks are leaving. They have nothing but vitriol for you, nothing but hatred for you. Stuck to Brother CL, he says 50 billion. You're talking about 50 billion for every year, mind you, not sometime, every single year for Israel. You're talking about billions for Ukraine. You're talking about 200 million for Pakistan to push LGBT in Pakistan. You're talking about how many millions for LGBTs in the West. And how you mentioned all of this stuff, but you're just going to leave? You're going to stay out the Israel or Palestine thing? How? Y'all know where this money is going. But furthermore, this should absolutely be a wake-up call to Black Muslims, 100%. Because the way that we talk to our people is out of pocket. It is out of pocket, and it is without foresight and manners with our own people. We will identify before those who pretend to be our brothers, who habitually stab us in the back, and those very same people today who habitually said, they didn't say not a single word, not one word about what's going on in Libya, not one word what happened with Ethiopians being slaughtered in KSA, not one word what was going on with Gulf and African maids being, systematically, molested and raped. Not one word about any of that stuff. Not a single word. But now these very same folks want to tell you about racism in Palestine. I saw a video the other day where these Palestinians, they were pretending to be Khaliji Arabs in Israel. Some of y'all might have seen this video, actually. It went viral. Okay, they're pretending to be Khaliji Arabs. And eventually, they're showing how much the Israelis loved them and support, because they thought they were Khaliji Arabs. They thought they were coming to support the normalization of Palestine and Israel. These videos went viral. How it could be racism if you're confusing a Khaliji Arab with a Palestinian? Ain't got to do no racism. Y'all know that very well. Bare minimum, you could say tribalism. But now, the very same people who said that Black people are not being affected by racism and it's all cap and it's all lies know what racism is when it comes to the Palestinians. They have a total blind spot for Black folk, but zero blind spot for Palestinians. Thank you, anti-gravity. Exactly. Palestinians are not even ethnic Arabs. Thank you. Yeah, come on, man. Come on. These are our brothers and sisters in Islam. We are obligated to support the Palestinians because we're Muslims, and we will support them. But we have to know how to talk to our own people. Ain't no other people group is going to talk to you Black folk with respect, right? Never forget that. So stop looking for respect when you're not respected. You look silly. If people don't respect you, why are you begging them to respect you? And then you have to degrade yourself in order to earn respect from people who don't respect you to begin with. Brother Victor. Brother Victor, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Brother Victor? I think Brother Victor's phone still got COVID, man. Well, wait for his phone to catch up, man. No, I don't think his microphone's muted. I can hear him bumping in the background. Hold on, let me just unmute it. 1 second. Let me see. Unmute it. Let's see. Let me unmute this. 1 second here. Is it muted? Maybe. Go ahead, talk, Victor. We can hear you, but the sound is like very low. Yeah, I can hear you, but the sound is like very, very, very low. Are you able to turn up the volume on your mic? Is it possible? Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah. Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead. What you got for us, bro? Man, bro, I'm sorry, brother Victor. Your sound is like really, really, really bad, man. It's really bad. The sound is terrible. Are you able to fix it by any chance? You're where? You're using your phone. Can you try to find a better connection? Because the sound is like really not. It's not even audible. We're catching bits and pieces here, and it's very low. It's very, very low. Yeah, I think he's got to come back when he's fixed his sound and stuff. Inshallah. Yeah. So this is what the detractors are going to say. They're going to say all kind of madness and craziness about the features and stuff like that. And we don't care. We don't care. Okay. We said from day one that, of course, this Palestinian issue is front and center, and we actually avoided it because we do not want to be any parts of the problem. But we are not addressing, those folks. We are addressing our own people. We are addressing our own people today. Any other people, folks, let them say what they want. When they talk to their people, they talk to their people with the greatest of manners and respect. And nobody ain't got nothing to say when they're having their bazaars and their whatever, their meetings. Nobody ain't got nothing to say. The second that we meet with our own people, they got a big problem. The second that we start addressing our own, they got a big problem. Y'all hearing me? If you don't change with the times, then you are just going to fall behind, straight up. Times are changing. It's not like before. With the rise of social media, we have virtual and digital communities being built. Echo chambers are becoming wide and vast, but at the same time, information is becoming easily accessible. So we really don't care. We're talking about people who never, ever, ever respected black folk, anyways. So why do we care what they have to say? They don't come here trying to help the situation. They come here just trying to insult and if you are dedicated to misunderstanding somebody, then why even have a conversation with them? These folks are absolute. Not only are they dedicated to misunderstanding black people, but they are dedicated on helping and aiding the enemies of black people. And then they want to accuse us of the very same things that they are practicing. They are telling us that we're playing the victim card. What are they? What are the very same people all doing now? What are they all doing now? Y'all hearing me? So us, as black folk, right? Yes, we should absolutely support Palestine. If not on a Muslim level, if not on a humanitarian level, then bare minimum, just on the the argument of reparations. Just based on that only is enough to say yes, I support Palestine. Just that. You can't remain neutral on that. Impossible. If you're black grassroots, it's not possible. Those folks who have shown great hostility toward black folk, and you're going to remain neutral on this while they are telling you, like, watch this, y'all. Let me just show y'all something else. Let me show y'all something else, man. 1 second. You think this is jokes? Look at this, y'all. Critical race theory poses a threat to Jews, and not only because of its use by anti-Zionists. This one from the Mosaic. Y'all seeing this? Let me just put this on here. Let me put this on here. Look at it. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. You're going to remain neutral on that? You're going to take a neutral posturing on this? Who could remain neutral on that? But anyways, family, I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight. This video will be demonetized for sure. I don't know how long this video will last. I hope they don't strike me for this. Let me see. Brother CL's coming on now. Okay, again, now we got to wait a little bit. Let's see. Brother CL's on here. Brother CL, 1 second. Let me get him on. 1 second, y'all. Brother CL. Okay, let's get him on here. Salaam Alaikum, Brother CL.
Walaikum salam.
How you doing, bro?
Pretty good, pretty good. Just checking out the show.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
What you got for us today, bro?
I see about that information.
Yes.
Yeah. As far as CRT, even when CRT was, being put together in like the early 80s, many of the same people who were putting CRT together, like Kimberly Crenshaw and those type of people, they were, publicly against, Israel. And many activists were using CRT or the beginnings of CRT. And even when CRT finally became, like an illegal framework, they were using it for like the pro-Palestinian cause. It just never you just never heard about it in the news and the media for obvious reasons. So that's why I said in the comment section, all these these Arabs and South Asians who are jumping on this, bandwagon because they love them some conservative
Zaddy.
white folks,
Yeah.
so
I
much.
love it to some Zaddy.
Which is and it shows you the double mindedness of these people.
Yes,
They're
100.
they're on the internet complaining about the media, complaining about the coverage with the Palestine situation, complaining about uh, what's the I forget this guy's name. What's the little Jewish guy with the squeaky voice?
Which I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, yeah. Hold on, let me. So his name is on the tip of my tongue. I'll get it for you in a minute.
Yeah.
Ben Shapiro, right? Ben Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro. They're
Yeah,
complaining
yeah,
about Ben Shapiro. They're complaining about people they like
yeah.
coming out saying pro Israel, but they're still clinging to it. They still don't want to let that go because they're just absolutely addicted to white folks.
Yeah.
You know,
I'll give you something else, brother CEO. They
sure,
actually
yeah.
they secretly like Ben Shapiro. They can't publicly support him because Ben Shapiro's a Zionist and he's a Jew, right?
Well,
But
I mean,
if
that's obvious. It's
yeah,
obvious they're going to like everything else he has to say.
exactly, and that's why they concentrated on Ben because they publicly like him. They just wanted him to turn around. If he turned around today, they would put on the Zionism and stuff. They would promote him like until he almost can't, right? if they could, right? So these folks, right? It's like Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson. Their ideologies are pretty much the same, right?
And,
There's
and,
really no
you-
difference.
and you have these guys, man, and I'm just looking at the comment section of some of these videos. They're
Hmm.
like having nervous breakdown about this.
Yeah,
They can't believe I can't believe they would support the Zionists like this.
what is surprising about that? Like, how do you not know that Shapiro and Peterson are Zionists? Like, how do you not know this? You are the ones who are putting these people in front of the Muslims, and you don't know that. How do I know? I don't even follow them, and I know. How do you not know? But they're playing ignorant because they do actually know. But they love them so much. They love them so much, bro, that they're acting shocked to try to sway them. Like, that's going to sway some devils. You know what I mean? Like, go ahead, bro.
Yeah. So, I think somebody, Tika said, why does CRT pose a threat to Jews unless they are afraid of the truth? Man, that's a good question. So, I mean, if the CRT obviously attacks systemic racism.
Mhm.
Right? So if these Jewish organizations see CRT as a threat, then you do the math.
Yeah.
What does that mean? It's obvious what that means to me.
They're trying to hide their involvement in slavery and apartheid systems.
Yeah, that's why I said in the comment section, the Arabs are these anti CRT. There's no such thing as systemic racism. Arabs are not only double minded, but they're dumb. They're stupid.
Yeah.
They're
But
stupid.
bro, I don't think they're stupid. I think they know what they are doing. You feel me? I think they understand very well what they do because nobody's that dumb.
I think
Right.
it's the love. I think it's the love. They love Zaddy so much. They want Zaddy to wake up and love them back,
Love them.
all
Yeah.
on
And
his
Allah,
own.
and Allah says directly in the Quran that they will never love you. The Jews and the Christians, those you love them, but they will never love you. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
these guys absolutely love them. And on top of that, they have the ears and the attention of the youth because of their platforms. They're
Exactly.
pushing this nonsense. They're pushing this nonsense. You know what I mean? And when you start telling the youth, like, these dudes, they are literally leading you to the hellfire, right? With the stuff they say, and you repeating this stuff. You think Allah is pleased with you by signing off on the oppression of black folk while absolving the actual oppressor of any wrongdoing? This is what Allah wants.
Then what will happen? Then there will be callers to the hellfire.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's happening right now, but right before our eyes. So black folk need to stop playing this dance and this game with If the immigrant Muslim community wants to be with Zadie, let them follow Zadie to wherever Zadie wants to go. We need to be doing our own thing. This is why black people are looking at us funny right now. They're looking at us funny because we speak like the very same people that don't like us. And we speak just like that to our own people. Y'all hear me? CRT is just telling Black American history. Most immigrants don't know millions of acres of land was stolen from Black Americans. They don't want anyone to know their tradition of stealing land. Yes, they were stealing our land long before they stealing the Palestinians. You kidding me?
But see, CRT is more than that.
Yeah. Yeah, CRT is basically seeing how the judicial system was used, or laws were used to implement actual racism.
Yes.
Right? And that's what CRT is.
Exactly.
Go ahead, bro.
So it can be used, and it can be used as a legal framework to attack racism, and try to force different institutions to change their policies, or to collect damages or even reparations from institutions.
Yeah,
because of their historic systemic racism.
Yes, and this is the fear now, because there is a legal framework for it, no doubt. And the call for reparations in 23 has been the loudest it's ever been in history, right? And it's not just in the U.S. You find it in Jamaica, you find it in Guyana, you find it in even parts of West Africa, right? The call for reparations is growing.
But see, what dawned on me, and not to cut you off, but what just dawned on me is the stuff we're talking about. You're not going to know. You're not going to know what CRT is. You're not going to know that it was used by Palestinian freedom fighters and people who were fighting legally on behalf of Palestinians. You're not going to know any of that if you're just sitting around watching Sneeko.
Exactly. Like, who takes their marching orders from Sneeko? Are you kidding me right now? Like that is one of the most. That is like, you can tell like we are reaching the end days, bro. You get me? Like, when you start taking your marching orders from Sneeko and what,
you sit around all day watching Sneeko and lusting after white girl converts, you're doing that all day long. Of course you're ignorant.
Yeah.
Of course you don't know anything about this. And then you're going to believe any ignorant thing that somebody tells you, and then you're going to turn around and repeat it until you run into the right person that checks you.
Exactly. Which is why over here we simply do not care, because we know by what we are doing, we are not going to get supported regardless. Right? We've taken a very firm and strong stance in support of our people, right? Within the Islamic framework, and we ain't backing down. We challenge anybody to challenge us. You mean to tell me that whatchamacallit, that the white supremacist, the Zionist, and the alt-right Muslim all agree on CRT, and there ain't nothing to look at here? All of them agree?
Mm-hmm.
And ain't nothing to see here? Come on, man.
Exactly.
Give me a break.
And everybody is up in arms about what's going on, and that's how it always is. When something really bad happens, people get up in arms, and then when it cools off, everybody goes back to business as usual, because that's eventually what's going to happen. People are going to go back to business as usual. Even a lot of these Muslims who are up in arms about this, which shows you don't really have a long-term strategy for trying to solve any of these issues. Or anytime an issue happens in the Ummah, all you can do is go in the streets and rant and rave and shake your fist, so CNN and Fox News can get a good picture of you. They can get a good picture of you screaming and hollering about Allahu Akbar, and doing what you do. They can put that soundbite and show you looking crazy. Looking all crazy, and you do it all. That's what you do every single time, but you have no real solution.
Yeah. Bro, my wife, she sent me some articles. Here in Canada, right, And these Jews are buying their tickets from here, going to Israel to fight the Palestinians right now.
Doesn't surprise me.
You know what I mean? Meanwhile, in Egypt, they can't even open the border for the Palestinians. You know what I'm saying?
Did you know for the next 3 months, any Israeli citizen can come into the United States without a visa?
Without a visa, yeah. So for us now, like, look,
that shows you who your zaddy like.
Yes.
You
us,
you Zaddy's second wife, but he liked the first wife better.
Exactly. I mean, the twitching and twirling from the immigrant community is outrageously inappropriate. You help, basically create the problem, and when the problem comes, you're acting all surprised. You know what I mean?
Because they love the dunya.
I never in my life ever, until the recent years, seen Muslims openly support Zionists. This is the first time
I've seen a Saudi. It's a guy from Saudi on TikTok that has pro Israeli TikToks.
Yeah. But out here in the West, right, we see what the play is over there in the Middle East. They're trying to normalize relations from a strategic point of view, right? In terms of strategy, political strategy, right? It makes sense for them to normalize relations. We see that, and I personally, I get it, right? I see where they come from, right? But from the point of view of the Westerner, right, where you don't have any real dog in that fight, and you're not even pushing it in that sense in terms of a type of political footsteps in the direction of normality for power. You're not even framing it that way. How are you inviting just open pro-Zionists to your platforms, pushing them in front of the Muslims, and when it blows up in your face, you're acting surprised? How do you do that? How do you do that?
Because you think that if you just, it's just like the the Sambo, the sellout black person. You think if I can just show them how smart I am, if I can show them how hard I work, if I can show them that I'm on their side, I'm not like the other ones. I'm not like them. I'm different. If I can just show them, then they'll accept me like they accept each other.
Exactly.
And then you get the wake up call.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head there. That's exactly it. And on top of that, you're willing to throw black folk under the bus. Black folk have never done anything to you. Never. We ain't colonized any of your countries. We ain't, gone
and shoot any tomahawk missiles at you.
Yeah, we ain't done any of that. Just kidnap you and just, entire families separate. We ain't done none of that to you. And you throw us under the bus to be close to the oppressor. Well, be with them then. You go ahead and be with them. Those of us who believe in Allah on the last day, we will see who will be successful on Yom Kippur. If that's what you want to do, you do that. You do you. Right? This is how black people have to think. Stop begging these folks to be brothers. Like, why? It's embarrassing. It's shameful.
Mm-hmm.
You get me? They don't want to be your brothers. They want you to be under them. And they want you to submit to what they say and do. That's it. You are good enough to clean their toilets, to clean their masjids, and to do security on Jummah. Okay? That's it. That's your role in society. Okay? Make no mistake about it. We need a different way of talking to our people, because what has been going on for the better part of 3 decades is just not working. Right? And we have to talk to them in an Islamic framework, which is for us, not for any other people group, for directly for us.
Well, I mean, we did have that.
Yeah, we did. Yes, we did.
We did have that, and then we kind of got rid of it to take this ultra non-political stance, like
Hmm.
where you can't speak about any of the
Black
black
issues.
issues. You can't speak about that, because
Mm.
that's tribalism if you speak about our issues,
Yeah.
and that whole mind frame got popular, and you know people to this day people follow that
Mm.
as if it's you would think it was on it was the first ayat in Surah al-Baqarah, the way that people cling to this so much.
Yeah. 100%. 100%, bro.
But yeah, just like you said, I mean, it does take a new attitude, and inshallah, actually, if black people actually stood up for themselves
Mm.
and people saw black people standing up for themselves,
Mm.
you would actually see some people agreeing with black people.
Yeah.
Because
100%. And here's the other thing too, brother CL. We already know that there are many issues in the black community. Okay. Last week I invited a sister, Michelle Renee, right?
Mhm.
Michelle Renee Davis, right, to come and talk about the therapy stuff, right? Because that is a major issue within the black community, right? If we support each other, but not this type of just blind supporting for no, but supporting in order to actually build something for ourselves, right? People will be attracted to it. You get me?
Mhm.
People, and not only will and it's not just about Muslims because Muslims have this idea because it came from immigrants that Islam is for the Muslims. Is Islam for the Muslims?
No,
Who's it for?
for everyone.
We always practice Islam like that before the immigrant invasion, okay? And they were the ones who brought, the cultural center masajid and stuff like that, right? You know what I mean? We used to see all people groups in the masjid until they built their own communal center. They brought that stuff here. And they turned the masajid into community centers. And now they are wondering why they're having issues with their kids. You
True.
get me? Now they're
True
wondering why.
indeed.
Because you never wanted to bring Islam to the people anyways. You wanted to keep Islam to yourself. You get it? Right? And that's why you have black folk all the way back in the 60s who are not even Muslim, but because they see the oppression of the oppressor standing up for Palestinians. And that here in 2023, actual Muslims, been Muslims for generation, telling you that you shouldn't talk about CRT because CRT is
Actually,
Marxist.
think about it. If you put pieces together, if you go back before COVID, when all the protests were jumping off, you
Mhm.
know, I don't know if you ever went to one of the protests, but um, I went to one,
Mhm.
and there was actually a group of Palestinian sisters there.
Yeah.
There was Palestinians for Black Lives Matter. That's the
Mhm.
banner they had up. So you had there was when that all jumped off, there was a contingency of sisters and some brothers, but mostly it seemed like sisters
Mhm.
from the immigrant community who
Mhm.
were interested in the subject of justice.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, certain individuals came on the scene like Daniel
Yeah.
Hakichu,
I'm telling you, he's the
and
ops, bro. I'm telling
yep,
you, he's the ops.
and then all of a sudden, those sisters went quiet because
Mhm.
they were basically told, "Oh, that's woke," you know,
Yeah.
that's that woke stuff,
That
you
woke
know,
with that woke left side, like
yeah, that woke left stuff.
how do you speak with the tongue of the enemy and try to Islamicize it? How you do that? And then nobody can say anything. You're speaking with the tongue of the enemy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Scamio Hakika the Jew. Hakika to the Scamio.
Wow.
You know what I
Hey,
mean?
yeah. So I mean, basically opposing racism and justice, that wasn't Islamic. Siding with white nationalism, that's
Yes,
Islamic.
that's Islamic. Yes, you get me. And ain't nobody gonna say anything. You know what I mean? Like this is insane, bro. Right? And for us as black folk, right? We are the ones who have to wake up. Allah says in the Quran, He doesn't change the condition of people until they change the condition within themselves. We can't keep dancing this dance, this tango, with folks that don't like us, man. It's not going to work.
And like you said earlier, it should have been checked a long time ago. Because
long time ago.
So as soon as individuals made those type of statements about George Floyd and all that should have been checked immediately.
Yes, at that time. Exactly. Right. Why are you inviting this person to your conference's aim? Why? And you knew. Make no mistake. Uthman Farouk, he knew. He knew. Make no mistake about it.
I can only two reasons I can think of, and Allah knows best, is either one, you agree with them, or two, you think there was such a benefit that you were going to get as far as attention and views that it didn't matter.
Yeah. And notice these very same folks that invited the Tates and the Sneakos and the the Jordan Petersons do have zero accountability for the mess that they started. The one thing I respect about Sajid, I have to give him props for this, because at least he came out and tried to fix his mess. Okay. He knows very well that he's responsible for the rise. He's directly responsible for the rise of Daniel Kikichu. Right? Remember, way back in the day, not way back in the day, but when basically Sheikh what's his name? The guy what am I forgetting his name, man? The one who, what, let me just get his video. 1 second, let me put out his video. No, not Sheikh Farouk. 1 second, y'all. Let me just get his video. 1 second, y'all. Just bear with. I'm getting old, man. I am seriously getting old, bro. 1 second, y'all. Let me just put this up here. Why am I forgetting the Sheikh's name, man? 1 second. Let me pull it up here. Where is it? No, there we go. Tahir Wyatt.
Okay.
Actually, let me play his video one time. 1 second, yo. Because it's on your channel. 1 second. Let me get it up.
Okay.
Where is it here? Sheikh Tahir Wyatt. There we go. Now here's Sheikh Tahir Wyatt. Okay. Let me just get him up here. Let me put you in the thing too. 1 second. Where are you? There you go. Family, this video is not getting monetized. Support the channel, please. Hayakumullah. There's no way this video is getting monetized. It's impossible. No way. Okay. So look here. This is Sheikh Tahir Wyatt. This video is on your channel. It's a short video, short clip. Okay, let's listen to what the Sheikh said.
Especially as African American Muslims, there's oftentimes a feeling of, well, they don't stand up for our causes. The cause of the plight, George Floyd, or whatever happened here in America, and when that was going on and nobody was saying anything, and these same people, they're the same people that come down into our communities and they sell pork and cigarettes and alcohol and so on and so forth. True or not true? I'm saying, hypothetically, let's just say that all of that is true, hypothetically. What that got to do with it? Is you're speaking up for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal? Because if that's the case, it doesn't really matter what they're doing. And if it's not for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, go sit down. For real. Like, go get your intentions right.
So the Sheikh Tahir, what he said was appropriate for Muslims. right? However, if the message is to the black grassroots, right, it's simplistic. You know what I mean? Now, look at here. Why did we bring up Sheikh Tahir? We brought up Sheikh Tahir because Sheikh Tahir, we're talking about Sajid, right? Sheikh Tahir, he said that Daniel, he didn't say he was a liar. He said that Daniel is what? He said that he is academically dishonest, right? And he said, I don't want to call him a liar. I want to say that he is academically dishonest. Y'all hearing me? Right? So when he said that, what happened? What happened to the Sheikh?
We got tossed under the bus.
Exactly. And who was one of the people that the first person to talk before anybody? Yes. Was the first one before anybody could say anything. It was Sajid, even before Daniel, who came to the defense of Daniel to get this point. Now Sajid all over the internet calling Daniel what? What is he saying about Daniel? What is it? He's saying he's a liar. He's saying he's a liar.
Okay.
The same thing that he said, Sheikh Tahir shouldn't have called him, right? Because remember, Sajid said he initially said that, Sheikh Tahir called him a liar, and we made a video about that. We made a video defending Sheikh Tahir.
Sheikh Tahir is a academic, so he's qualified to judge somebody's academic credentials and performances.
Yes, right? So remember, Sheikh Tahir, he said he's academically dishonest. Everybody came to defend Daniel, saying, why is Sheikh Tahir calling Daniel a liar? That's what they said. Now the same folks that went after Sheikh Tahir, may Allah preserve him, are calling Daniel the liar. Okay? And they ain't got nothing to say about what they said about Sheikh Tahir. Can you imagine? Sheikh Tahir, remember when Sheikh Tahir, he went on the Nation of Islam podcast or whatever and did his speech. What happened to him then?
He got skewed. He was flame roasted.
He was flame roasted. Remember when Sheikh Tahir went and did his speech outside in the Black Lives Matter protest, the George Floyd protest? What happened to him?
Flame roasted. He
roasted.
He was a secret representative of Farrakhan.
Can you imagine? Right? Wasn't it Woodsy that said it seems like Sheikh Tahir, he wants to talk about issues of race and abandon issues of Islam or whatever he said. Can you imagine? Because issues of race are mutually exclusive from issues of Islam.
Well, for him,
there are issues of race and issues of Islam, and they never ever meet, never intersect. Can you imagine that? This is what Gina. Can you imagine? Right? So no doubt, Sheikh Tahir loves his people. There's no doubt. And his people have not defending him the way that they should have. And I don't want anybody to think that me playing that clip is me criticizing the Sheikh or me saying that I'm putting, no, it's not that. Right? Rather, it's like more of an advice. He's a Sheikh, right? And we know that he loves his people. Right? What we are saying is that the grassroots needs to be addressed directly. Right? And the talk of old, that needs to end. That needs to end. That's all we are saying. Because the Muslims, they already understand that, of course we're going to support our brothers for the sake of Islam, of Allah. We understand that already. But there is another thing going on within the black community where even the Muslims, the black Muslims, are starting to look at the Muslims funny because of the lack of support for black folk. And this white racist rhetoric, which is rife within the Muslim social media community, Muslims are seeing that. Just like some non-Muslims are seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't address it, then those talking points will have zero effect. This is what we're saying. Because you're right. Yes, for the sake of Allah, yes, this is correct. However, we cannot ignore what's going on with this disgusting talk against black people. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's the position that we take as Muslims because we do this. We enjoin the good and forbid the evil. You know, we do this for the sake of Allah. And but you know, you can walk and chew gum at the same time.
Yes.
You know, you can multitask at the same time. So, and what some people will have us think is you can't multitask. Either you're going to voice your support for for every issue you can think of, whether it's Philistine, or whether it's Chinese Muslims in concentration camps with communists, whether it's certain portions of disputed land between Pakistan and India. You're going to lend your voice to that because you're Muslim. That's what you're supposed to do. But then when you say, well, look, at this is going on here and this is going on here concerning black people, you're according to them, not that Islam teaches this, you're supposed to ignore that and remain silent about that. And nobody's
we don't do that no more. I'm sorry, we don't do that no more. And we're not really interested in some kind of brotherhood with folks that are trying to oblige us to abandon our people in favor of theirs.
And not just and when I say that, not just what's happening, not just George Floyd in America, even what's been taking place over the last few months in the Sahel with them trying to kick out the French.
Yeah,
it's been crickets.
That is major. And we're talking about 3 Muslim countries. One, two, three. We're talking about Guinea. We're talking about Niger. We're talking about Mali. Okay. There's another one, right? Is there? Am I missing one?
Burkina Faso is
Burkina Faso. 4 Muslim countries, right? And then you have Gabon.
Chad is jumped into it also.
That's a 5th one. If Chad jumps in, there's a 5th Muslim country. Okay. Gabon is Christian, largely Christian, but there's some some suspicion around their coup because it seems to be like a plot from the French government in order to not lose control of that region, right? So it's very. But in terms of the black Muslim country, how are the Muslims not talking about that?
Yeah.
Why are we the only ones talking about that?
Completely silent about them trying to get the colonizer out. Completely silent about them fighting against ISIS and Takfiris. Complete silence.
Yeah.
Don't care. Or don't care.
Yeah. So us as black folk, we gotta understand that those folks who oblige us to make their issues our issues, if you want to make their issues or your issues, that's your business. But on this side, right, we are with the Quran when Allah says to save yourselves and your families from the fire, right? You got to focus on yourself first. And that's what we're saying. You get me? In the days of black folk being pushed to the back burner are they're just over. Like we're not playing that anymore. We're just not. What do you want me to say? You know what I mean? It's not happening no more. You get me? We will support you in terms of our obligation, our Islamic obligation, yes. Right? Our Islamic, but we are definitely not putting our issues on the back burner anymore. It's not happening.
Yeah. And all that jumping out what they want is jump out, use your racial clout. That's what they want to do. If they want to use black people's racial clout for the issues they care about. So they only care about us when when they can use our racial clout, and they can use civil rights, and they can use black liberation to enhance and shine a light on the things they care about. And once that's no longer useful, you know, go back in the closet till we need you again.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But anyway, brother see, I'll let you get the last words in, and we'll call it a night, inshallah.
Just summarizing what we just said. We're talking about, we are talking. We're not apolitical. We are not ignoring black issues, and we're not putting our issues to the back burner in order to speak and fund issues that you deem as the most important. If you deem that to be the most important, then go do that. Just the same way just the same way you have the right to ignore issues of black people, whether it's in the Americas or in Africa or anywhere else. We have the right to ignore what you believe to be important. But we are going to keep our obligation to Allah and His Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's no doubt about it. But not going beyond that.
Yeah, and I wanted to echo that point. Furthermore, keeping your obligation to Allah and the Prophet sallallahu, right, necessitates that you show humanity to anybody who is oppressed. And at the same time, you have to be intelligent. You have to be intelligent, right? You have to know that black folk expressing their support for oppressed people, it is a political statement, right? Because black folk throughout the earth are oppressed. So if they are supporting other folk, what it does is it validates the struggle of other folk. Your support validates the struggle of other folk, and other people, they know this very well. They understand that they are playing the political chess, right? So that's why they want your support, and you should support oppressed people around the world, regardless of who they are. You should. And you should also expect not to have that support reciprocated. That is a given, right? We already know the history of that is too long, too big. But what we are saying is put your issues first. And when those folks begin to talk to you in the tongue of the enemy, you don't have to take that. Like, why are you taking it? Why are you taking that? You don't have to take that. You don't even have to argue or acknowledge them. You get me? We saw in the comments, how many people were just rage watching. They were rage, but they couldn't hide it. You know what I mean? They were like, did you see one of those comments, bro? Did I acknowledge a single one of them?
No,
you don't have to acknowledge them. Let them rage watch. Thanks for building up the algorithm for us. Thank you so much. Okay.
Well, the thing is, let them bite their fingertips and rage and just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, it's fine. You know what I mean? Put yourself and your families first. Put yourself and your families first. There's a new day coming. A change gonna come. A change is here. Okay. A change is here. Okay. Anything else, CL?
No, that's it. That's all I got.
All right, family. Thanks for everybody who watched. Like, subscribe, share. I'm going to need some help with this channel, man. I need somebody to make some clips for me and everything like that, bro. All right, but like, subscribe, share. I want to thank everybody who joined me tonight. May Allah reward you and bless you. I'd like to thank Brother CL and the Brother Victor who came on, but may Allah reward you all. Subhanaka bihamdik wa shahada anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik wa assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.